Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. This is a girl Jen, sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you want to get formal, this is Miss Jennifer Frederick. Another edition of Let Me Talk the Ting. People, today is Monday already. Another week is here. Just as going to be the 1st of September. In fact, just now is the Independence Day. And all you know the controversy and background of Independence Day. But we're not going to allow them to stop our Independence Day. Independence in here. It's in here. It's in the way that we celebrate, it's in the way that we love our country, it's in the way that we treat our elders, it is in the way we treat our children, it's in the way that we educate. So it's a lot of things that make us independent, because before independence, we didn't have free education. All who talk now want to stop independence. Before independence, we didn't have free education. We didn't have national insurance. We didn't have free healthcare. You wasn't getting them thing. You wasn't getting no grievance procedure. You was working for the queen. What happened? The Industrial Stabilization Act came about due to activism of the union movement. Then we got the amended 1972 Industrial Relation Act. The unions are very active. The unions are very in tune with what's happening now. The union has a shell up themselves. All of them sell out to become the same bourgeoisie class that they accuse the government and the employer of being. They have now become that, and they are the ones now eating and drinking the best of their family, while the working class eat crumbs. Shame on them. Shame on the spirit of George Weeks, Elmer Francois, Daisy, Quick, Miss Colette, Butler, Rienzi, Cipriani. All them must be turning collectively in the grave to see how the union movement have been weakened. Because they fought for rights that we get now, didn't get the kind of money that these getting now, and they didn't fight for nothing more than for themselves. So let me start again. Just as going to be Independence Day, soon it's going to be Republican Day, and then Diwali, and then we're going to be having Christmas and the New Year. Time and tide waits on no one, but I do wait on the peeps, whether on Facebook or on Bamsee platform. Thanks again to the director for having me on her platform, and thanks to all those who continue to support me on this platform and on Facebook. Thank you all so much. Without you all, I might have been talking just to myself. So I want to thank you all for always coming and still up to and tuning in. And we have a real thing to talk today, because some people want us apparently to go back to colonialism. Some of us, they're comfortable with the white man. They're comfortable with the white man being in charge, it appears. Yeah? So let me play one of the things that brought us our independence, 1962. This is another symbol of our independence.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
So let me snap people. We have some sad news. Lenny State has died, and this is Dr. Lenny State here. Dr. Lenny State has died, and he was a former government minister. So from Bounce Up Central Network and from Let Me Talk the Ting, we want to send our condolences to the State family. And let me just read a little about Dr. State. So Dr. Lenny Sate was appointed minister in the office of the Prime Minister in the 9th Parliament in November of 2007. In the 8th Parliament, Dr. Sate held the portfolio of Minister of Public Administration and Information and later was given the additional portfolio of Minister of Energy and Energy Industries. Dr. Sate first entered Parliament in January of 1992 when he held the portfolio of Minister of Planning and Development and leader of the government business in the Senate during the Fourth Republican Parliament. Dr. Sate is an engineer or was an engineer by profession, and his maiden contribution, the 22nd of January 1992, the House of Representatives, a bill to provide for the service of Trinidad and Tobago for the year ending on the 31st day of December 1992. So again, condolences to the family of Dr. Sate and hope that they got the comfort and that support that they need during these times, which will be some trying times. But as they said, somehow that too shall pass and the memory would live on. So let me continue. So it has some kind of Lele and Lele in First Citizen Bank. And this man seemed to be getting himself all up into this Sawat Singh or whatever his name. Is he still a priest? I'm just asking. A Catholic priest. Is he still a Catholic priest? So I'm seeing here First Citizen Bank blocks forced resignation of CEO. This was in the Guardian 19 hours ago, and it says here the government last week attempted to pressure the group CEO of majority state-owned First Citizen Group, Karen bamsee, to resign immediately, a move that was repudiated by the board of the bank, which agreed to allow her to take her accumulated vacation leave from August the 21st, that's plus Friday, and retire from First Citizen on October the 21st. Government's attempt to force bamsee immediate resignation included leaking an erroneous story to the Newsday that the government had accepted her letter of resignation and circulating a fake WhatsApp message that her retirement in October the 21st was not due to external pressure, regulatory issues, or financial factors. Sources told Guardian Media that last Tuesday, August the 19th, the bamsee wrote to corporate soul, Minister of Finance, Devendra Thakur, and copied Minister of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development, and Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Dr. Kennedy Sarat Singh. A source external to the bank said bamsee's letter to the minister indicated that her retirement date was in May 2026, but that she was prepared to demit office as CEO of TNT's second largest bank before that, if the terms of her contract of employment were honored. In response to the bamsee's letter, Surat Singh wrote her last Wednesday, August the 20th, stating, following guidance from the Attorney General John Jeremy SC on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, main shareholder and corporation sole, I accept your letter of resignation from First Citizens. We undertake to view favorably the following matters set out in your letter of August the 19th. Salary, one, bank, vehicle, benefits, two, pension benefits, three. Further, we undertake to take advice from the Attorney General on one, or A, I say one, annual flexible spending allowance. B, bonus. Several sources told Guardian Media that Abbasi's letter of August the 19th included no reference to her resignation from the bank. An industrial relations expert who is aware of some of the issues surrounding her departure described as improper a government minister attempting to pressure the resignation of the CEO of a state-controlled company that has a board in place. In all, just now, hold on. In an all-staff memo on Friday, First Citizen Chairman Anthony Smart said the board held a special meeting earlier that day, following which he advised employees that Abasi had proceeded on approved vacation leave from the period from August 21st, 2025, and will retire effectively October the 21st, 2025. Smart also told the employees that the company's succession plan was in place. Consistent with a published announcement made on April 4, 2025, the board has appointed Jason Julian, currently Group Deputy CEO Business Generation, to act as Group CEO in Dabasi's absence with effect from August 22nd, 2025, until the retirement of the Group CEO, after which he will assume the substantive position as Group CEO. In his August 20th letter to Dabasi, Sawat Singh also told her, as indicated to you, our position regarding your final working day has changed. You are now to proceed on paid vacation leave with immediate effect rather than on September the 1st, 2025, as discussed. According to a pre-action protocol letter issued by attorneys for dismissed Central Bank Governor Dr. Alvin Hilaire, Sarat Singh visited Hilaire's office on June 24, 2025, indicating that government wanted the governor to leave the post and it would be prepared to pay Hilaire in full for the remainder of his term if he were to resign immediately. Later that day, Hilaire received a document from President Christine Kangaloo that his appointment had been revoked. Contacted by WhatsApp for comment on Friday and Saturday, Sawat Singh said he was aware of her alleged resignation because he he was copied on it. Asked if he was in a position to share the allegations that were made against Labasi, Sawat Singh said, I have no idea what you are referring to. Guardian Media understands that one of the reasons that government wanted Abbasi to resign immediately was because it claimed the bank had provided former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley with preferential access to foreign exchange. That allegation was first raised by Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Darrell Alher, in his July 1st contribution to the mid-year budget debate. In his contribution, much of which comprised complaints about First Citizen, Allar said, the PNM government has for the last 10 years left the commercial banks alone to brutalize poor people, while enabling friends and family and financiers to access foreign exchange and to navigate the banking system and the cream of our economic system with ease. We are left to feel the pain of the ordinary person and the inconvenience that they suffer because of this abject stupidity of commercial bankers and the preferential treatment they choose to give to big clients where they put the big boys first. Okay, I'm nearly finished. I'm not going to mouth thinking to say something. Wait. He then said someone had given him an email, but he did not know the origin of the communication. Alahar said it is an email to someone called Karen Dabasi, in which high public official is saying, please do a letter for PM to purchase US dollars to pay these three invoices. He needs to have payment made tomorrow, no later, and is waiting for a letter to confirm instructions now. Invoices to be paid by him for a friend, and it is an email that the person to Karen Badasi, but I will get back to that another day. Dr. Rowley responds. Asked on Saturday by WhatsApp if he was aware that an allegation involving him may have been one of the reasons the government attempted to force Abasi to resign immediately, Dr. Rowley responded. I am a shareholder and customer of First Citizens. I have only engaged in normal banking procedures there and have received the kind of treatment I get at other banks in the country. First Citizens is not the only bank that offers private banking or personal services. I did see a breach of banking privacy a few weeks ago when USC Senator Al-Ahar was in Parliament quoting from an internal bank email concerning my business and telling lies that I was getting foreign exchange for a friend. It was a lie. It had to do with me buying a Guyanese wood house from Guyana and paying for it US $25,000, paying shipping and brokerage and designation, my builder as the agent to receive the container. Over the years, when I traveled mainly on government business, I would request small sums of cash in foreign currency and would usually return unspent amount to the country. None of my banking business is extraordinary and has nothing to do with Alahar, Sarat Singh, or anyone in the UNC for that matter. I hear my name being called in their vendetta against the group CEO at the bank. Once they call my name within the law, it's okay with me. But once they slander me, I will take advice on that. Gardner Meader also added the former Prime Minister. Gardner Meader also asked the former Prime Minister whether he made other requests of foreign exchange from First Citizen or majority state controlled Republic Bank for his legal matter at the Privy Council or for his foreign medical checkups. I have done nothing but my private needs at my first. I have done nothing but my private needs at my First Citizens Bank, as you have touched on. Also, while I have small amounts in other institutions, my main bank is First Citizen, and as such, most of my banking needs are handled there. I signed I singled out the transaction that was put on Hansard by Alahar simply because he lied and misrepresented. I have not sought foreign exchange from other institutions, said Rowley. Why them always want to dig up in people financial affairs and why it is the people in the banks are doing these things that is very unethical. Because I remember when the financial something unit wanted to get information, and I think it was Gary Griffith and something with the wife or something so on their accounts. Them get lawyer and all kind of thing to block that. When somebody talk about Dr. Rudan Munila, I don't know if it's true or not true, whatever the case may be, something about he and whatever money being one of the 10 or 12, something so, some kind of bacchanal, so I can't remember what it is. That end up, I think, in some kind of court or something. You know. When it's to know about what money them have, it's privacy. But anything to do with people of African descent, especially people like Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, because remember that do Miss Camille Robinson Ridge is the same thing. When she went to take out she own money from the bank to see about she's situation, they had it all over the place. Like if she wasn't a lawyer before she get into politics and wouldn't have she own money. So only people of Indian descent to some of them, it appear them alone can have money. And they can't know them business, but just want to drag people. You see the people they keep digging for Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. Hmm. Careful, all in fall in it. Eh? I want to fall a little hard. Let me continue. Hmm. Dr. Rowley is one of the most attacked verbally prime minister this country ever had. And let me tell you something. None of them can find to this day what corruption he was involved in. None of them can find what corruption he was involved in. And when he says something, he's afraid to say it again. He stands on his word. He's what they call credible. So I will always go on the side to believe what Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley said. So I'm seeing something here said, who defied Minister Sturge? This was August the 24th in the Daily Express. And if it's overly long, me reading this because you see, okay, right, it's not. So let me go back and analyze this here. Who defied Defense Minister Wayne Sturgeon authorized Lieutenant Commander Daniel Castrini to travel to the United States to participate in a one-year naval study course. And before I forget, this Sawat Singh minister, he get himself involved in he's a labor. He from labor or something. He involved himself in the whole situation with the governor of the central bank and send letter and who write letter and write back and said this and he said this and he said, what going on with he? He want to be the bougie. So Padarat, cotton and URP and CPEP and forestation. And this one is the one for the upper level jobs and them. Well, go ahead. Golam, golam. After one time, it's 2 and 3. So as I was saying, approval was apparently given even though Sturge, through the Ministry of Homeland Security, refused to give the green light for Lieutenant Commander Castagini to attend the course. How did the minister get involved in that? Coast Guard is not from Service Commission and all the statutory board and thing them come from. A minister does get involved in whether or not a Coast Guard could go and study. That is how it has gone out. According to the several insiders, I could be wrong, I just asked, I never hear these bacchanals so before, never. According to several insiders, it will have a permanent secretary who in charge of the ministry. The ministers and them not in charge of no ministry. They just bring government policy from the cabinet to be implemented in the ministry. But who in charge of the ministry? The permanent secretary, who is a public officer. According to several insiders, the move has raised alarm over whether senior military personnel openly defied ministerial authority. Another unanswered question is who financed Castanergy or Castanergy. Let me spell it, or you might know how to pronounce it. You know, I have no shame when it comes to being able to pronounce words, right? This is the Louis talk the thing. Me and the highfalutin plain, I could pronounce this and that. If me didn't see it before, I didn't get time to practice. So it's C-A-S-T-A-G-N-E. So it's Castrani. 1 year, I am your mother, grandmother, or godmother. 1 year program at the U.S. Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, and covered accommodation, tuition, and personal expenses. That's according to insiders, could have cost taxpayers as much as $600,000. Insiders say even if the United States sponsored the course valued at roughly $350,000, it would still cost taxpayers a substantive for the year, travel and accommodation expenses as well as incidental. An internal document obtained by the Sunday Express shows that Ministry of National Security Defense Unit General Administration responded to Chief of Defense Staff CDS Air Vice Marshal Darrell Daniel on June the 21st, 2025, regarding his December 10, 2024 request for custody to attend the course abroad. The letter advised the Minister of Defense did not grant approval for the participation of the Lieutenant Commander Daniel Castagni, listen, of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force in the Naval Staff College course, scheduled to be held in Newport, Rhode Island, United States of America over the period July the 17th, 2025 to June 15, 2026. The letter was signed off by an employee for the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Homeland Security. 5 days later, on June the 30th, 2025, Castagni, senior commanding officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, Captain Steve Don Rigel Polo, was informed of the decision to deny Castagni, and you see when it have a word give me trouble every minute they pay it over and over. Participation in the course via letter by Lieutenant Edmund Pope or Eden Pope, Acting Assistant Chief Staff Officer Human Resource. The letter stated further to the subject at caption, please be advised that the Honorable Minister of Defense did not grant approval for Lieutenant Commander Daniel to participate in the Naval Staff College course, which was scheduled to be held in Newport, Rhode Island, USA over the period July 17, 2025 to June 15, 2026. Submitted for your information and consideration, sir. Over a fed up with this. You think it's the man going and they say, Stuart say he can't go? So they want to know who in approve it. We go see how that turn out because I kind of confused. So Watson getting all up in employees' business, the minister getting all up in it. I don't understand. You know what? Best they don't have permanent secretaries again, let the ministers run the whole ministry. Let them run the whole ministry. I tired. I tired with that conversation. Some only vote for that. And how in this shit this hour. Yes, I said it. We waddling in it right now. I saw this also, and then I'm coming off this topic because like everything in the workspace, and you're not hearing the union saying nothing. They're silent like the lambs. So this has to do with some employee. This was toxic exposure. This was in the Guardian yesterday. Worker takes shell and Massey to court over benzene incident. A former quality assurance inspector who was exposed to the toxic chemical benzene while working on Shell TNT Dolphin natural gas platform has taken Shell, its contractor, Massey Works Group, to the industrial court. He accuses the company of putting his life at risk and ending his career in the oil and gas sector. The incident was never reported to the Occupational Health and Safety Authority or the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, as required under Shell's license certificate agreement. Instead, the inspector filed a report himself with OSHA, the Ministry of Labor, and the Energy Ministry. It has been a rough time trying to fight these corporate giants. From then to now, I have been fighting this basically by myself, he told Guardian Media. He added, I can no longer work in the oil and gas industry or risk exposure to substances that can affect my breathing. I suffer from shortness of breath and palpitation, and worst case scenario is cancer. The US Centers of Disease Control and Prevention warns that benzene exposure can cause dizziness, irregular heartbeat, tremors, unconsciousness, and at high levels, death. Long-term exposure reduces blood cell production, damages the immune system, and raises the risk of leukemia. I just want to say I'm reading the whole story. I will take this as a health and safety issue and just simply say this to workers. How is this to workers? Health and safety at the workplace is important. The OSHA Act came into law, I think, in 2004. Before everybody should take it as a joke, it is a law. If you are an employee and you're working in a space that you feel is dangerous and harmful to your health, your limb, your life, you have the authority under Section 15 in the OSHA Act to refuse to work, but there is a process. If your department where you work or the ministry you work does not have a health and safety officer, you are to report the matter to OSHA. And within 72 hours, I think it is, OSHA is going to send an inspector to investigate your claim. If you have a health and safety committee in your ministry, there's supposed to be a health and safety officer. You go to the health and safety officer with your health and safety issue, and the health and safety officer is to investigate within 24 hours your claim. If you don't follow these procedures, you can end up in issues. So again, I go back to refusal to work. So let me give you an example. You come into work, your area is air conditioned, but the air condition break down. There's no ventilation. And the place is hot. You go to your senior officer, you tell your senior officer, listen, inside here is hot, I can't work, I'm sweating, and whatever the case may be on that. If there's no way for you to get breathing or whatever it is, then the onus is on your supervisor or management, either to find another space in the same ministry or wherever that you can work comfortable until they fix the issue. Or if they can't fix the issue, then you are not allowed to stay in that space for 8 hours a day. You can refuse because heat affects everybody differently. You might just stay 10 minutes and you feel to faint. Somebody could sit down 4 hours, some could sit down whole 8 hours. It doesn't matter. Health and safety is an individual thing. You can refuse on the grounds to work based on that. You write your letters to the relevant people there, you inform OSHA, and if you don't have a health and safety officer, you write to OSHA, and you come to work every day, but find a safe space to sit. You let the supervisor know I'm here, but I can't work in that room until they treat with the matter. You see, when you take it and you say nothing, and when you get overbearing or you just go on your own and do things, there is a procedure. So Shell, based on what I read, has a protocol when treating with health and safety issues. And it looks as though the gentleman didn't follow that. He went on his own. I hope it works in his favor, especially if he can produce whatever medicals, whatever he can produce to show is there, that he inhaled that. And then you'll have to, the company will have to show if it wasn't stored under safe conditions, because it have a space you have to store poisonous chemicals, and it have a whole procedure treating with that. So let's see how that go. And I hope that this gentleman would get relief. And please, everybody in a health and safety issue, not because Tom and Jerry don't have a problem with it. You have a problem with it. They say, well, if them have a problem, if I go and say something, they will say, it's I alone. It don't matter. Once it affects you, the OSHA Act never say it had to be you, Tom, Dick, and Harry, it affecting. If it is affecting you to the point where your car work is dangerous, you feel afraid or whatever the case may be, that is you. You follow the procedure under section 15 and you're good to go. Right? So let me continue. I want to play this to you all because I comment to this. I just wanted to really say that at the end of the day, because a lot of people just feel I want to go and say nothing. Now, next thing they say, how I'm making trouble, and whatever. You say no on the chair hurting your back. But other people say no, same kind of chair ain't doing them nothing. You're afraid to complain because they say, how it ain't bothering Mary, how it ain't bothering Shani, bothering. That has nothing to do with you. It bothering you. Let the health and safety person come and say the chair is okay. You go your doctor, wherever it is, bring a medical to show before sitting long in that chair, wherever it is, my back, this one, wherever it is. That's what has happened, and they'll have to get something for you to sit properly. But if you don't take your health and safety seriously, you think an employer is going to take it seriously? No. Once they could walk you, they will walk you. So people, I want you all to listen to this. It's very important.
The stonecutter who wanted more. Once upon a time, there lived a humble stonecutter who worked hard shaping rocks. Every day, he would sweat under the hot sun, cutting stones for buildings and roads. Though skilled in his work, he often complained about his life. Why must I work so hard while others live in comfort? He grumbled. One day, while resting, he saw a rich merchant pass by. The merchant rode in a carriage, dressed in silk, and surrounded by servants. The stonecutter sighed how powerful he must be. If only I were like him. To his surprise, his wish was granted, and instantly he became the merchant. He enjoyed wealth, fine clothes, and respect from the townspeople. But soon, he noticed people bowed even lower to the king. Envy grew in his heart. The king is greater than I want to be in. Again, his wish was granted, and he became the king. Soldiers guarded him, people feared him, and he felt powerful. Until one hot afternoon, the blazing sun made him sweat. Even as king, I cannot fight the sun, he muttered. The sun is more powerful. I want to be the sun. And so, he became the sun, shining brightly in the sky. He scorched fields, dried rivers, and people hid from his heat. But then he noticed the clouds drifting across the sky. The clouds block his rays, cooling the earth. The clouds are stronger than I, he thought. I want to be a cloud. Instantly, he became a cloud, drifting freely and pouring rain. He flooded rivers and soaked fields, proud of his might. But then the wind came, pushing him across the sky. The wind is stronger than I ought to be the wind, he cried. The wish was granted. He became the mighty wind, roaring everywhere. He toppled trees, tore roofs, and scattered clouds. But soon he found a huge rock standing still and moved by his force. That rock is stronger than I want to be the rock. And so he became the rock, firm and unshaken. Now I am the strongest of all, he declared. But one day he felt sharp pains on his surface. A man was striking him with hammer and chisel. It was a stonecutter cutting pieces from him. At last he realized the stonecutter is the most powerful of all. But now his heart was different. He realized that true strength was not in crowns or riches, or even in nature's power. It was in being content with who you are and in facing your struggles with courage. From that day forward, the stonecutter worked with joy. He no longer envied kings or clouds or mountains. He knew that every struggle shaped him, just as his chisel shaped the stone. Lesson: no matter how tough life feels, there will always be someone who seems to have more. But real strength comes from embracing your struggles, doing your best, and being grateful for who you are. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.
Careful what you wish for. Sometimes you have, and what you have is enough, but you're watching somebody else and you want what they have. And when you get it, you realize it ain't always glitter is no gold. Some always to be balling. Well, I don't mean who on my life, but you know what I mean. We suffering. We suffering. Rowdy's a dictator. Rowdy don't like African people. Rowdy don't like black people. The country in a mess. Crime over the thing. And we can't go work. And the children hungry. And I care by this. And I care by that. And we suffering. And we hungry. And the place so hard. And it ain't have no improvement. It don't have no diversity. And we used to hear that every day. But cars was selling, children was going to school, CPEP was running, URP was running, reforestation was running, party that sell out, Independence Day happening, Republic Day happening, holidays happening, price marts selling out, masses selling out, fast food baskets selling out, groceries opening, stores opening, people traveling, people whining, people singing, people eat everything. Everything was happening. Yeah? But we are suffering. Careful what you wish for before 3 months reach. This government told about the code is yellow. When UNC win, everybody win. They send home almost 20,000 workers at the lower spectrum of the economic ladder. Sufferation. And here this one could affect all of we, whether it's UNC, whether it's PNM, whether it's PP, TPP, whoever you be, all of we could end up being affected, whether it's Indian and you have money, Chinese, you have money, African, you have money, Syrian, you have money, Lebanese, you have money, or don't have money, all of we. And this country not prepared for what that woman. And I just always say this because it's not me say that. Verna St. Rose would have spoken about some substance abuse because when they say you have a monkey on your back, it means that you're under the influence of something. And others say that she does drink. I say after them. And I've always said when I look at it, and she's a heavy smoker, not me say so. And a diabetic, well, she says so. So if you're a diabetic, which you say you are, and it is said or alleged you is a heavy smoker, and it is alleged you is alcoholic, and you how much years old, 70 something, those things are not conducive to critical thinking and good health. They say alcohol after a while just kill off your gray brain cell matter. That is helping thinking and memory. for memory loss, you start to talk all kind of tie up talk and all kind of thing, whatever the case may be. And the things I hear you saying here now, me is inclined to believe the allegation about the alcoholism. Me, I'm inclined. Because no sane person will want to put an island that they rule with a family here, friends here, comrades here, colleagues here, and put them in the middle of a bacchanal between two other people. Because sometimes I know, look at the situation, husband and wife cussing and getting on. You gone in the middle to try to think the turn and the set across you instead. Two friends had a bacchanal, whatever thing, whatever, and you say, okay, let me, and then you end up the enemy. They end up saying it's your fault. That's how I seen this thing. Two people, two independent people, big man and woman, had a thing. Nobody asked. You not They didn't ask for your support. They didn't ask for right. They didn't ask for wrong, nothing. You jump right in the middle and show up yourself. When the grass and the dust settle, is the one who jump in the middle that's end up in shit on. The 24th of August in the Miami Herald. Trinidad endorses warship deployment will help US if asked, Prime Minister said. Days after Trump administration began deploying Navy destroyers and amphibious warships to bolster security near the coast of Venezuela, Caribbean governments are slowly starting to break their silence on the unusual mission. On Saturday, as the ships moved towards the Venezuelan coast, the government of Trinidad and Tobago said the deployment of the American military asset to destroy terrorist drug cartel not only has it full support, but should the regime of Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro launch any attack against neighboring Guyana and the Trump administration were to call upon Trinidad and Tobago to help, it will do so. I want to just stop blasting. I want to stop blasting. I want to stop there. Because when the UNC talk, people in America and all over seeing this UNC government and them, and excluding PNM people, is Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't know, we in this country, whether it's UNC, PNM, whatever, give the Prime Minister of this country the authority to go and say, we will end up in the bacchanal between two sovereign countries where the military far more superior and the people in the country and the military far more than the citizens of this country. To get we tie up in this stupidness. I don't know if there's something called projection and cognitive dissonance, denial. It have a whole set of psychological terms. And they say we're always talking about we were slave and enslavement of African people and the slave master and slave master. I believe, in my opinion, that them love the slave master more than anything else. And them willing to subject to the slave master more than anybody else. While we fight for freedom from that, they must fighting to stay. Because you can't tell me no rational person, I just asking, will put a country with 1.5 million people in the middle of America and a Venezuela issue. I have no problem if the Americans come in to clean up the waters with narcotics and drugs and whatever. It will better for the whole Caribbean. Me ain't getting in that and whatever the thing, case may be. But you see all the other things that come up aside the sister and them want to commit me to, I don't know nothing about that. Mr. Maduro, President Trump, I knows nothing about that, but getting involved in all the thing. Do all the work, clean up the narco trade and the drugs and all that, that will help the Caribbean and help the world. I cool with that. You see the other thing? But talking about Venezuela and Guyana, right now Venezuela and Guyana not in some mediation somewhere, and all of them went in St. Vincent and sit down and had that. President Maduro was there, President Ephraim Ali was there, our Prime Minister at the time, Dr. Rowley, Barbados, everybody went across it from CARICOM in St. Vincent, and they sit down and had a conversation and mediated, and that is up for mediation now with this Essequibo. Why come up and Salvi Sessa getting involved in that? You can deal with your own government ministers and parliamentary secretary knocking and sturgeon all them. You want to get involved in that? Who is sending to hell fight? Who is sending to hell fight? How much people are in them sent in the army? Or in the armed services? So much. Who is sending? We 5,000 strong in the army and 4,000 strong and 3,000. That who you sending? So them in our family, them in our children, them in our nothing. Them sign up for you going to make war for them. I didn't know them was to running people back and all. I thought it's to protect me. But if two other countries get in the bacchanal, how you getting that? It's not like a Caribbean island who wants some help or something. How you get it? Look now. When I sit down there and feel this thing is a joke, I see some of them who support you, but the Prime Minister support you. I comment on that just now. Let me continue with this. Oh God. Trinidad and Tobago has always had good relations with the Venezuelan people and it will continue, Prime Minister Kamala Persaud-Sessa said in a statement. However, I want to make it very clear that if Maduro regime launches any attack against the Guyanese people or invades Guyanese territory, and a request is made by the American government for access to Trinidadian territory to defend the people of Guyana, my government will unflinchingly provide them with that access. I want to ask the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago if they're comfortable with that. I just want to ask all you if all you're comfortable with that, all you understand. I'm not reading no more of this thing, eh? Because if all you're not concerned, I am concerned. Again, I say I'm not getting in the people business. Them is superpower and this power military. I ain't getting that. They say they come down here to clean up the narco thing and whatever. Okay. You see all the other chatter and talk? I do not know that. I don't know about all the. I one citizen. I never sign up to, if anything, with Venezuela and Guyana, and I don't know why she would say that, because they're in mediation. They're in mediation. To say, if anything, you're going to let America come and the base and they give me back all we land and them thing and they go their way. So we're going back to the Yankee going and Sparrow take over now, the time before that, Gina and Diana. That we're going back to? This woman mentality is really one of a colonial kind of thing, by. You want an independent country. That another independent country come in your country to deal with our next independent country. Why don't you deal with the thing by themselves? What are you pulling me into that for? All the feelings is this is a joke and Western thing, just like all the one stand your ground. All the feelings things is joke. I really don't mind this thing, you know. I really don't know. No, just the same right here. Guyana and Venezuela have been engaged in a tense dispute over the Essequibo region, which has led Washington to keep a close eye over the area. After the Trump administration began increasing U.S. military presence in the southern Caribbean, Maduro announced plans to mobilize over 4.5 million militia members across the country to defend national sovereignty. You hear the word sovereignty. You hear how much people? They say President Maduro mobilizing over 4.5 million people. How many people we have in this country? About 1.5 million people. That is not even 3/4 of the people he rounds up to defend the sovereignty of Venezuela. And that is not even the whole population of Venezuela. And Kamala Persaud-Sessa going to say, if anything with Venezuela and Guyana, instead of she said we're going to boca for peace and look for peace because this is a zone of peace, the woman says she's going to allow a sovereign country to come on we sovereign soil to fight. And all they sit down and feel this is a joke. Shameful preposterous and disrespectful to CARICOM. MSJ slams PM's stance on US naval deployment. And then she turned and said, she ain't checking with no CARICOM. Everybody free to talk on their own. Today, the government is putting us on the wrong side of history in support of a colonial and imperial agenda, grounded in 2,000 plus year old Monroe Doctrine, which US administrations have used as justification for interfering in this hemisphere to militarily invade sovereign states, Haiti, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and amongst others. Effect coup d'etats, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, Guatemala, and amongst others, and finance political parties that are in alignment with their US interests and or foment crisis and chaos to bring about political change. The following press statement on Prime Minister Prasad Sassa's position on the United States deployment of naval warship in the southern Caribbean in the vicinity of Venezuela was submitted to Wire 868 by Movement for Social Justice political leader David Abdullah. The Movement for Social Justice MSJ states that today is a day for both shame and sadness for Trinidad and Tobago. 1 week away from our commemorating the 63rd anniversary of our independence, and just weeks away from marking the 49th year of our Republican status. We say this in light of the statement issued yesterday by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in which she unequivocally expressed support for the US government deployment of American military assets in the Caribbean region. In justifying this, the Prime Minister swallowed the Trump administration position that this deployment is to deal with terrorist drug cartels. The MSJ repeats that the reasons advanced is a lie. As we make clear in the statement that we issued last Thursday, the nature and size of the US military assets are for offensive purposes, not drug interdiction. If the US said it was deploying additional Coast Guard vessels to collaborate with regional countries, that would be believable. But destroyers with guided cruise missiles are meant to take out military targets. Amphibious vessels are designed to land troops. What is a military target? Where are the 4,000 troops to be landed? To destroy what drug cartel? And in which country? Or is it to effect a naval blockade of Venezuela contrary to international law? The US can't or won't say, yet our Prime Minister endorses it. Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar should say in clear words who is the target, what is the cartel, and which country. We repeat, this is a fiction meant to legitimize what is a military intervention against Venezuela. The Prime Minister's statement is shameful for another reason, and that is disrespect for CARICOM. As she stated, the Trinidad and Tobago government has not engaged and has no intention of engaging CARICOM on this matter. Each member state can speak for themselves on this issue. We remind the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, under which CARICOM functions, sets out as one of its objectives as collaboration on foreign affairs. It has a specific body, the Council for Foreign and Community Relations, that has as its objectives to establish measures to coordinate the foreign policies of the member states of the community, including proposal for joint representation, and seek to ensure, as far as practicable, the adoption of community position on major hemispheric and international issues, establish measures to coordinate the foreign policies of the member states of the community, including proposal for joint representation, and seek to ensure, as far as practicable, the adoption of community positions on major hemispheric and international issues. The Trump regime has achieved one of its objectives and we in the MSG warned that this many months ago, the weakening and division of CARICOM. Trinidad and Tobago has had a long record of conducting foreign policy based on the principles of recognition of the sovereignty of states and non-interference in the internal affairs of other states. We have taken position on principles even when this meant opposing US foreign policy. We did this in recognizing Cuba and in opposing the illegal and legitimate US blockade of that Caribbean nation. We have recognized the state of Palestine. We strongly oppose apartheid in South Africa and supported the liberation movement in colonial territories. In all of this, we stood on principle that we are on the right side of history. Today, the government is putting us on the wrong side of history and in support of a colonial and imperial agenda, grounded in the, okay, they put this over again. So let me read that. The issue of the Maduro regime launching any attack on Guyana is a smokescreen. That is not the issue. And for clarity, the MSJ's position stated several years ago is with CARICOM. The Essequibo is part of Guyana, and we further endorse the Argyle Accord initiated by the PM of St. Vincent and the Grenadines with the support of other Caribbean heads, the UN Secretary General and the President of Brazil. But for the PM to give carte blanche approval for the US to use our country as a military staging point in the conflict is unacceptable. Lastly, the Prime Minister made a preposterous statement that it is shocking to hear some persons using referrals to the Caribbean region as a zone of peace to push negative commentary on the US military deployment. The only persons who should be worried about the activity of the US military are those engaged in or enabling criminal activity. While the MSG and many progressive and proud Caribbean citizens insist that the Caribbean is and remains a zone of peace and views the US military deployment as being opposed to this, does that make us criminals? We simply respond by saying that the US and most of the global South termed Nelson Mandela as a terrorist and a criminal. Why? Because he and his comrades were fighting against injustices being brought about by colonialism and imperialism. And that was the MSG there. If we ain't taking this thing serious, I really feel it's a joke. Cameras reckless statement because everybody writing now, eh? Everybody writing. Oh, this is from Michael Edmond Dehani. Everybody is writing out against this. Eh? Trinidad and Tobago just lit a match in the Caribbean. The UNC government has issued what may be the most reckless foreign policy statement we have ever seen in years. And they did it with a kind of confidence that only comes when you think nobody's paying attention. Read closely and you will find it less about fighting crime or defending sovereignty and more about telegraphing that Trinidad and Tobago has chosen its side, Washington. And not cautiously either. The wording is so heavy with repetition, law-abiding citizens have nothing to fear. The US have our full support. And it reads like someone just trying to convince themselves, not the nation. The part that should make every Caribbean head turn is the outright dismissal of CARICOM. Trinidad declared that each member state can speak for themselves. Translation, regional unity is good until it clashes with Uncle Sam. That's one line detonates years of collective diplomacy. Small islands, which were strongest when moving together, are now being told, good luck, or let's fend for itself. And the crime argument, it is pure deflection. Yes, we are drowning in blood. Yes, the murder figures are obscene. But no amount of US warship parked in international waters will fix corrupt police, court backlogs, or communities abandoned by the state. Linking our domestic collapse to drug cartels abroad is lazy politics. Worse, it's a ready-made excuse to invite foreign military power into the region without showing how it makes us safer. Then comes the Venezuelan clause. We respect the Venezuelan people, the statement says before announcing boldface that if Maduro even sneezes in Guyana direction, Washington can use Trinidad as a staging ground. That isn't hedging, that's planting a flag. Venezuela will read it as a betrayal. Guyana will see it as a blank check, and Washington will quietly note they now have a willing Caribbean client. Notice also what's missing. Not a word about parliamentary debate, not a whisper about consultation with the citizens who supposedly own their sovereignty, not one cabinet promise, and the door is wide open to foreign troops. That is how democracy thins out, not in one dramatic collapse, but in a quiet executive decision that never touched the parliament floor. And here is where the cynical Trini voice cuts in. Well, Kamala been talking, Trump talk a long time. We look for that because let's be real, the language here dismissing anti-American propaganda and snaring about Trump's derangement syndrome could have been lifted straight off a Fox News siren. The UNC copied the playbook and now the country is living the fallout. The implications are stark. CARICOM, unity, compromised. Venezuela relations poisoned. America access granted without guarantees. Trinidad has just swapped regional solidarity for a pat on the head from Washington. It's tempting to laugh at the absurdity of it, at the cut and paste Trumpism and the chest beating about law abiding citizens. But the truth is this, the government just mortgaged our sovereignty without a serious national conversation. Foreign military access is not something you whisper through a press release. It's a kind of decision that can reshape generations. If Trinidad and Tobago abandons CARICOM today for convenience, then tomorrow we'll face the world alone, small and exposed. And no foreign power, however friendly it seems now, will ever put our interests before their own. This is bigger than the UNC or PNM. It is about whether we remain a Caribbean nation in solidarity with our neighbors or whether we settle into the role of American outpost. And here is the harder truth. Under Kamla Prasad Visesa, there is no evidence of patriotism. Sovereignty is treated as a disposable, something to be traded when it suits her, something transactional. That synthesis leaves the country hollow. We wave the flag at independence. We belt out the anthem at football matches. We swell with pride when Kishon hurl the javelin or Wendy sprint down the track. But when it comes to defending the meaning of that flag and anthem, this government shrugs, signs away the rights and calls it leadership. This is a sovereignty irony. Patriotic language for show, sovereignty battered away in practice. Kamala treats the nation like a chip in someone else's casino. And broken, when leaders behave like brokers instead of patriots, it's always the people who lose. Leave waving the symbols of a country while the substance slips quietly out of the back door. All of this thing is not something to be taken lightly. If all of you this is a joke, and don't worry, Trinidad, God is at Trini. While you worrying all this stuff, nothing can happen. You see them kind of foolish so because people in this country cry suffering for a long time. They cry they were suffering and they're hungry and they're suffering and they're hungry. Look, suffering could come right on the doorsteps. Right on the doorsteps. Let me just read this one here again. Warships in our waters and imagine Caribbean roundtable. When Trinidad and Tobago declares its full support for U.S. warships entering the Caribbean waters to combat drug cartels, I wonder if it means to. I wonder what if it means to hear the region great luminaries, leaders, thinkers, revolutionaries, and artists debate the question together. So I convey the imaginary roundtable. Eric Williams, Walter Rodney, Maurice Bishop, C.L.R. James, Lloyd Bess, Sir Shernat Ramphal, Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Eugenia Charles, Kwame Ture, Franz Fanton, Michael Manley, Norman Govan, Sylvia Wenter, George Lamming, and Bob Marley. Some long gone, others present only in legacy, but all remain enduring touchstones. With the help of AI, guided by their histories, philosophies, and words, their voices resonate or reanimated. Here the arguments distill. It is not the same as having them in the room, but it gestures towards what might have been one of the most remarkable conversations of all time. And its heart is a single. At its heart is a single question: how should the Caribbean respond to the arrival of warships in its seas? So this is the person imagine if all these freedom fighters were around today and they were having a round table, what the conversation may be about. So he said, colleagues, we are gathered to consider a pressing question. Trinidad and Tobago has declared its full support for the U.S. warships entering Caribbean waters to combat drug cartels. How should the region respond? They're saying this is how Dr. Eric Williams would have responded based on his history of fighting for independence and as a historian. Yeah? Our independence was not one to surrender sovereignty at the first sign of trouble. Security must be solved within the Caribbean, not outsourced to Washington. The same way capitalism and slavery reveal how empire enriched itself on our backs, we must not let our seas become another leisure line of dependency. Eugenia Charles interrupted. With respect, Dr. Williams, drug trafficking is destroying our society. If the United States is willing to assist, we should not let ideology bind us or blind us to practical necessity. Sovereignty is meaningless if our youth are lost to crime. As I showed in Dominica, pragmatism can keep a small nation afloat in dangerous waters. This is Walter Rodney. Mrs. Charles, the crime is real, but US militarization has never been neutral. These ships are not about drugs, they are about control. The root of the problem lies in inequality and dependency, not in the absence of warship. As I argued in How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, powers always extract under the guise of protection. Let's say Morris Bishop nodding to Rodney. I know the meaning of American warship. They anchored off Grenada under the guise of helping. What followed was invasion, destruction, occupation. If we invite them now, we invite a repeat of history. Our people revolutionary government proved that literacy, dignity, and grassroots councils can defend a nation better than foreign guns. They said, Fidel Castro in a booming voice. Exactly. These vessels do not serve our people. They come to remind us who own these seas. The drug trade is the excuse. Empire is the reality. Cuba taught the world that sovereignty, once defended at the Bay of Pigs, cannot be traded for favors or fleet. Che Guevara. You cannot fight despair with destroyers. The drug trade is born of poverty and exploitation. You want to end it? Build a new society. Not even 1,000 worship can solve the hunger of the people. Our revolution shows that when the wretched take destiny in their hands, even the mightiest empire trembles. This is Kwame Ture. This is one of our sons, raising his fist. Yes, Brother Chi, liberation cannot come from the empire's cannon. Black power means we build our own defenses, our own strength, our own unity. Otherwise, we are still chained to the plantation. From Selma to Port of Spain, I declare that the struggle of Black people everywhere is one and indivisible. Lloyd Best, our noted intellectual. And that plantation persists in every dependency we accept. These warships are a confession of failure. Instead of fixing our economies, we outsource responsibility and import power. Until we dismantle the plantation model, we will be trapped, we will remain trapped. The New World Group showed us that analysis must be our first weapon against dependency. C.L.R. James, another son of the soil. This is empire's oldest static, manufactured threat. Then offer guardianship. We do not need guardians, we need freedom, and freedom requires that we govern ourselves. Worship serves nothing but the ambitions of those who send them. As I wrote in the Black Jacobin, the smallest colony can ignite a revolution that shakes the world. Sir Sridhar Ramphal. I share the concerns for sovereignty, yet we must also face reality. The Caribbean cannot ignore narcotics. The way forward is cooperation, but on terms of partnership, not guardianship. Security must be regional first, cooperation second. My work at the Commonwealth taught me that small states can wield great moral power when they act together. Michael Manley. Ramphal is right. Security must balance dignity. Jamaica and the Caribbean needs allies, not masters. Let us engage the United States as equals, not dependents. Warships cannot substitute for justice, jobs, and opportunity. My own vision of democratic socialism was rooted in the belief that dignity must be the first dividend of development. Northern Govan. But Michael, the real question is why we turn to Washington at all. This is the price of our failure to integrate. CARICOM should have been our guarantor of security. Instead, we beg for protection. Dependence is our greatest danger. The regional integration paper made clear that sovereignty is strongest when it is pooled. Sylvia Whitener speaks. And dependence is not only economics, it is epistemic. It lives in our imagination. If we outsource security, we outsource our ability to conceive of ourselves as full subjects of history. We must reimagine safety not as a gift of empire, but as an expression of our own humanity. Only rewriting man itself can we rewrite our futures. George Lamin. Yes, Sylvia? To welcome foreign worship is another exile, the exile of responsibility. The Caribbean has lived too long in exile of its thinkers, its workers, its sovereignty. If we cannot defend our seas, we will be written out of history as authors of our own fate. In the pleasures of exile, I argue that to claim your voice, or our voice, is to claim our power. Franz Fanton speaks now. Colonialism always returns in new forms. Today it is worship. Tomorrow it will be basis, contract, dictates. To accept this is to accept dependency renewed. True liberation demands building structures of power that serve our people, not our colonizers. The lessons of the wretched of the earth still applies. Decolonization is always violent, even when cloaked in diplomacy. And Bob Marley, this is strumming softly and speaking. Babylon worship can't bring peace. Peace comes with justice from equal rights and freedom. If the systems breed if the systems breed poverty and crime, no navy can save it. Don't let them fool you with their ships. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. John's message was always this: until we free our minds, we'll never free our nation. And then there was the moderator to the whole round table of these great thinkers. The divide is clear. Mrs. Charles welcomes the worship as protection, while nearly every other voice warns that they are a new form of colonial intrusion. Taylor James closing, looking around the table. The lesson is this: small though we may be, the Caribbean must choose to be the author of its own history. To invite guardians is to surrender the pen. This is what Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley had. Compare that what CARICOM did last time. The big guns, USA, Canada, and Europe, gave Maduro 8 days to leave and threaten invasion if he did not comply. CARICOM showed leadership. One, by sticking together and talking with one voice. Two, we showed leadership by talking to the UN. We showed leadership by talking to the UN in New York. Prime Minister Rowley, TNT, Motley, Barbados, Harrison, Kitts Nevis, were dispatched to New York to see the Secretary General of the UN to request dialogue instead of war. 3. CARICOM was in the forefront of a CARICOM Uruguay summit, which resulted in a Montevideo Accord, strongly supported by Mexico, Norway, South Africa, and the African Union. Finally, we gathered in St. Vincent while Guyana and Venezuela did the unexpected and unthinkable. Both President Maduro and Efrain Ali were brought face to face by CARICOM under the chairmanship of PM Ralph Gonzalez and CARICOM leaders to sign the Anasville Accord. This period of heightened tension was tempered with aggressive, frenetic CARICOM leadership, which until last week saw a period of calm and peace until Washington unilaterally hatched this latest tension under the guise of fighting drugs and crime, etc., with nuclear submarine, marines, and guided missile vessels in international waters. With this legacy in the face of the intractable issues surrounding us, Trinidad and Tobago has now set our decades of successful foreign policy alight as a beacon of advocates of the Monroe Doctrine. Dr. Ike Williams, Errol Barrow, Compton, Bradshaw, E.T. Joshua must be awakening from their slumber to try and save what they have built. Everybody is writing to say about the danger of what this Kamla Prasad UNC-led government has done. But her supporters and ministers and the fanatics continue to speak, but they're proud and they support the prime minister. I want to ask them tonight, all them who thinking so, who does fight who I think is spaceship? It's people. Where they getting the people from? All they're willing for when they're ready, if anything, God forbid, should happen, to sign up your 18-year-old daughter and your 19-year-old son or your 19-year-old daughter and all their children to go and stand up with the army to defend anything. All they're willing for that. All they're willing for them to pass a law and say that it's mandatory that when you hit 18, you have to join the army. All they ready for that. All they ready for a military state. All they ready to see people blowing up hands, flying, foot flying. All they ready to see the kind of poverty with children just sitting down with no mother, no father, building bundong, building bomber. All they ready for that. All who saying the support and they're happy with Kamla Prasad say, and she's showing strength, and that is strength and unity. Does she understand what CARICOM is? Or is it the fact that because CARICOM are asking a question, have a lot of nations, with mostly a lot of people of African descent that they have problems with? Because if Barbados was in the situation with how Guyana is with Essequibo and was Venezuela, would she say the same thing? But if Venezuela touched this one, she could do that? Or is it because in the mind are asking, because Guyana is a largely based country with a set of racialism with Indian people against people of African descent, that's why she's saying that? And is it because President Trump is a white man and it's white man country, why she so want to support what he's saying? Is it all have to do with being black and that some Indian descent feel more superior than me? Is it what this is about? Because I will tell all again, sometimes when people start to behave like if they're superior than others, it's really inferiority complex they're suffering from it, and they mask it with superiority. Nobody is more superior than nobody. All are we born equal. We just want equity. So this conversation that African people, because the same person she supports and sit down here is a shithole, you know. I wonder if she understands that. I wonder if she understands that Indians in America is considered minorities, just like all colored people in America. I wonder if she feel that because she light skin, that Trump will consider she white. I just asking questions. Because that behavior, as if America love we, that when they don't do it, they have to do whatever it is, you think they go study we and come back to help we? CARICOM is for purpose all over. That's have the block. Listen. ALBA, that Belligerent Alliance for the Peoples of the Americas, that a regional bloc. That bloc consists of Latin American countries and some in the Caribbean. And the aim of it is for social, political, and economic integration in Latin America and the Caribbean. That's what these things is about BRIC, a bloc of emerging economic power primarily focused on strengthening economic, political, and social cooperation amongst its members to promote sustainable development and increase the influence of global south in the international governance. Right? That countries make up BRIC. I think is Britain, Russia, I think it's China, I think it's India, I think C is China, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so the country comprised BRIC is Brazil, sorry. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America, as well as 5 new members they speak about. Everybody does have a block. And it is to do with, in terms of seeking the interests of those people. So when it comes to it, that's what CARICOM is. The primary purpose of CARICOM is to foster economic integration and cooperation amongst Caribbean nations, aiming to improve living standards, accelerate economic development, and enhance regional competitiveness. It also works to coordinate foreign policies, promote human and social development through initiatives like education, health cooperation, and ensure regional security and stability. The establishment of the CARICOM Single Market Economy, CSME, is a key mechanism to achieve these goals by facilitating the free movement of goods, services, labor, and capital. Economic integration, creating a single market and a unified economic space to deepen trade and build economic resilience. Foreign policy coordination, presenting a united front on the international stage. Human and social development, promoting cooperation in areas like health, culture, education, and the environment. Security working to enhance regional security and stability. How it works. Treaty of Chaguaramas. CARICOM was established in 1973 by signing of this treaty, which has since been revised to enable the creation of the CSME, a significant undertaking that seeks to harmonize economic policy, creates a single currency, and allow for the free movement of people and capital across member states. The shared identity, foster a sense of shared identity and purpose amongst Caribbean nations, recognizing their common challenges and opportunities. Support for less developed countries, CARICOM devises and implements special projects to support the economic development of the less developed countries within the region. So Kamala Pasabi Sesta is telling the rest of the CARICOM, all else send for all self, you know. We aren't time with all, you know. I want all to understand. You all remember when she made the comment about the ATM machine when she was Prime Minister 2010 to 15? You remember Jamaica started to pull all our goods off the shelf because Jamaica buys up a lot of our local manufacturing goods in Jamaica. All that is a part of CARICOM and the CSME. And as Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley had to go across to meet and talk with the Prime Minister of Jamaica to ease that tension and get things back on the shelf because it's pulling off everything. So when Kamala Pasabi says to make enemies at CARICOM countries, who does buy we goods? Because that is all a part of the whole organization of CARICOM, that we could sell we goods preferential treatment in terms of the markets available, everything. When we do that and alienate we sell from the CARICOM, what you think America go adopt we as a 52nd state or something? They're going to be right here because they consider down here a shithole. So all they sit back and sit uncomfortable, but well, that's what she does talking about and don't understand the implication of this thing. And to talk to the Prime Minister, all who so love she and all who find she, talk to and understand what could happen to us. This is not a UNC thing or a PNM thing, because when they go there, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, they're not going to say that is a UNC government and say that is Indian people. They're not going to say that. They're going to say she represents the government is Trinidad and Tobago, all races. So why are we just quiet there and just saying, well, what we gonna do on my way? All I understand how serious this thing is, and what? All I understand how serious this thing is, they stop independence parade. They're firing people at will. People on the bread line outside here. They're insulting and cussing people. They're cussing CARICOM basically. They're turning up their nose at everything that has helped our country and the Caribbean to stay as one. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Look, we have impacts. We had Interpol down here. Interpol is not a Caribbean thing, but Interpol is an international thing down here. And America would have helped us in terms of there's a gun unit, some kind of thing. So they have always help us with whatever situation that we have to help us to train people and that kind of. So it's nothing new. It is nothing new that America has always been involved with Trinidad and Tobago in terms of helping with the crime situation, whether given training, technical training, and that kind of thing. That is normal. We go up to America to train, and who come down here to train. That is nothing new. But to tell America, if some scene jump off, they could come and offload the troops on we independent land and use it as a base. All you understand what I mean? To use it as a base, we don't have a big land space. To use it as a base. I want you to listen to this, please. Listen to this, please.
Trinidad and Tobago, in the world by extension, wherever this video reach you. Now I was staying quiet and I was just sending videos about people saying things and about the country and the state of the US and the Venezuelan activities. But on a real note, let me ask you something. Well, you know is something called a decapitative airstrike? Or a decapitative strike? Well, you know about that? Let me tell you about that. So, a decapitative strike is if two countries in war and a next country telling the people or telling the world, hey, we stand in solidarity with X. And X could come to we country and only could fight all the war from we country. So which means you just implicated the whole citizenry into war against X. So the next person now saying, oh, so all you join allies with that country, decapitated strike. When the first missile launch, which I hope it doesn't happen, it hit in here first, you know. Because when you open yourself into telling people that you stand by, they're dealing with you first, because we military, no, we defense force is porous, bro. We have a porous defense force in Trinidad and Tobago. We can't do nothing here. All we just do here, I was part of it, so I could tell. PT, ration, girls, guns, camouflage. That's it. And breeding man, wife. That is all we just do here as military men. That is it. So within that time that you saying that we stand in solidarity with, we can hit first, you know. And this is not, I'm going to talk to the UNC supporters. This is not politics. This is Trinidad and Tobago, which we know you all are not part of, because you're not patriotic. According to our leader, party first, to hell with country. If all you want to support, or if all you don't want to support. Because she said, with her own mouth, to hell with anybody who supports country first. That is her words, not mine. And if all you really don't care about country, and all you're not telling all your prime minister, because I like to say all your prime minister and we prime minister, Kamala Persad-Bissessar is my prime minister also, because she's the prime minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Who don't like it, bite it. And I know in the comment section, all they go and tell me, Why didn't tell Rowley that? This had nothing to do with Rowley. This have to do with Miss Kamala Persad and Trinidad and Tobago as we stand now. So I only hope we don't get tied up in that decapitated strike, because real people will not feel it. And according to my hombre, he say, hombre, you never hear in Trinidad and Tobago 20 people die at once. And if that start to happen, then people might open their eyes. But then again, something wrong with the UNC supporters. They see absolutely no wrong in Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessa's decision about anything. Well, they go and tell me, I see nothing but 9 years and 9 years. The year didn't start in 9 years. We're talking about no. No, 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 no. And if they're not seeing that, put on all the Gideon boots and all the khaki suit. Well, not this khaki suit. I don't know about all here, but I will be. You know me, I like to fly. Not only Superman alone does fly. So anything had to happen, I'm out. According to cartel. So all they go ahead and continue pushing that foolishness and don't talk. Whoever advising Miss Kamala Persad-Bissessa, or they giving that woman the wrong advice. But believe me, when that ish hit the fan, all the problems, eh? Comment, like, share, follow, and tell me about Rowley. Yeah?
Yeah? They will come from across the Carney Bridge in Caterpillar, bulldozer, on truck, tree line, backhoe, shovel. Yeah. They go send their 18-year-old son and the 18-year-old daughter. They have to come to stand up to defend. Listen to this.
The United States is deploying over 4,000 Marines to the Southern Caribbean in waters near Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago just weeks after placing a $50 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro. To put this number in context, when the U.S. has gone to war since 1969, it typically deploys in the range of 100,000 to 700,000 troops. On the opposite end, when the U.S. conducts its typical counter-narcotics or counter-terrorism operations, it tends to deploy anywhere from a few dozen to a few hundred troops, like they've done in recent years in places like Colombia and Somalia. There's a middle category here where the U.S. is involved in special operations near active combat zones. Think Haiti in the 1990s, Libya during the overthrow of Gaddafi, Syria during the overthrow of Assad, and Niger to fight extremist groups in the Sahel more recently. Interestingly, this deployment seems to fit squarely within this category. So where does all of this leave Trinidad and Tobago? Between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, Trinidad and Tobago should support counter-narcotics operations, with drug trafficking doing a great deal of harm to our nation over the past few decades. On the other hand, in recent conflicts, the U.S. hasn't exactly tended to get what it wants. Look at Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and Niger as recent examples. When the political will for military deployments overseas dries up in America, they often pack their bags and leave in a hurry, with the region left to deal with the fallout. If Venezuela collapses, Trinidad and Tobago may have to deal with an unbearable consequence. And history tells us that we can't count on the U.S. for long-term support. Oppositely, if Maduro stays in power, Trinidad and Tobago will have to deal with a hostile neighbor when the U.S. leaves. So what do? In my opinion, we should stay out of this. Let the U.S. do what it wants here, but don't issue any public statements. We should be thankful for counter-narcotics operations, but we don't have $1 trillion defense budget and millions of troops. When the U.S. eventually packs up and leaves, we cannot fight with our neighbors who have millions of reserve forces bolstered by Russia. Trinidad and Tobago is a small nation. We cannot speak recklessly and then hide behind America. That is not a long-term strategy. I hope that our government will act very carefully here and really take time to think before issuing statements about wars that we cannot win.
Right? I want you all to listen to this. I hope this is the English translation tape. Listen to this.
Y una convocatoria al alistamiento en la milicia bolivariana, que ya es bastante, sino también que plasmando esa firma y registrándose está diciéndole no al imperialismo, no a la agresión militar, no a la soberbia, a la prepotencia, no a la grosería, a la vulgaridad del imperialismo norteamericano contra el pueblo de Venezuela, contra su legitimidad de instituciones y del liderazgo político militar de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela. Nosotros rechazamos con mucha contundencia, con mucha fuerza, todas esas agresiones.
Jamás he utilizado un arma.
I have never used a weapon, but defending the country is not only about having a weapon.
We must continue Hugo Chavez's legacy to fight for the homeland and the rights of all Venezuelans.
We defend our people, and we, one way or another, are going to defend ourselves.
Hoy sábado ha sido un éxito total el inicio de esta jornada de reorganización dinámica de todas las fuerzas populares, militares, policiales y sistema defensivo. Mañana domingo continuamos, como fue anunciado, en las plazas Bolívar principales de todos los municipios del país. Yo me alisto porque amo mi patria. Junto a tu familia, junto a tu comunidad, alístate y pasa filas. Que viva Venezuela.
They say that is what is happening in Venezuela. People are showing up and turning up and registering ordinary citizens to fight to defend the country. All they feel like is a joke. All they think this thing is a joke and all they keep skinning and grinning. Oh, I love my PM. She's showing she's strong. Which one all they taking all their family to go and stand up and sign up to stand up to defend? You think America will come and just defend with us? You feel they had to work with? When they come and want to be inside your house and think to carry out operation or kind of like, oh, you know, see, you're going to be just like the movie. Watch me go, oh, look how ready feel it's a movie down here. You think it's just so? America, look how far America is from we. We 7 miles, not 7 miles or something, so we're 8 miles away from Venezuela right there. We suppose again as a country to stay out of this. If America come to say they clean up the sea and whatever, let them die them thing, let them do it, the business, whatever. That's not we business. We're not supposed to say we support A, B, C, D, F, G. We're supposed to support the zone as a peace zone because CARICOM are custom when they have any issue, they come together as one and they go and sit and mediate, and out of that has come a lot of agreements and things to keep this place a place of peace. No prime minister ever stood up to encourage our next sovereign country to come in, we sovereign country, to deal with any next country that is a sovereign country. Never. It had a situation with Jamaica and the Federation that was something different. They didn't have no warship here and all kind of thing, and no next country wanted to. It was between we self, we had the bacchanal. When Dr. Ike Williams say 1 from 10 leaves you, and we went about to get we independence. So nobody will bring that and say that happened. That was something different. This is in 2025. Where warships and we waters with all kind of different things, paradise and all kind of bacchanal, like main of submarine, I don't know what it is, but troops ready. This thing I just show, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's saying it's Venezuelan ordinary citizens signing up to defend the country. And President Maduro, it was saying, organizing 6.5 million militia to sting. That is not the army yet. They just, okay. Everything is a grin and a grip, you know. Listen to Senator Amy Brown.
We're in unprecedented circumstances where a Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, a Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Ambassador of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago to CARICOM are all on 3 separate tracks and disagreeing with each other publicly with respect to the foreign policy of this country. This has never happened before, and we're in serious times.
Do you want to say what those 3 separate tracts are? Do you want to spell out what they were?
Well, the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs has said hands off, Trinidad and Tobago is not involved in any way in these matters with respect to the United States of America and Venezuela. The Prime Minister has contradicted him quite directly and has given full support to the United States of America and their mobilization. And the Ambassador of Trinidad and Tobago to CARICOM, former PNM Minister Ralph Maraj, is talking regime change in Caracas.
Right. Okay, great.
They need to get on the same page.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right? Look his face. Look. Okay, look. That the Minister of Foreign Affairs and CARICOM or whatever. Look. He say we staying out there, then he leader come and say we take sides and Ralph Maraj. The next one why does say my opinion, rum like it cure he. He is the ambassador for CARICOM, CARICOM, and the man is talking about regime change in Venezuela. You see them sick. Listen to this. Hear what Guyana saying.
So we've been working to ensure that we keep this zone, the Americas, a zone of peace. We're committed to that. And we have always participated in all of the regional organizations, in CELAC, the OAS, to ensure that we promote this region as a zone of peace. We know and we're convinced that the case before the court is properly placed, and we have always asked Venezuela to participate. There is no doubt that the 1899 arbitral award is final, perfect, and complete. We have gone through the rigor to ensure that our boundaries were clearly defined, and we can go all the way back to 1905 when we had the mixed commission. The tri-junction point was demarcated, which included Venezuela. So we have Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, British Guyana at that time. So everything was clearly defined. Venezuela was very happy with the award of the 1899 arbitral award. They were very happy with what they got out of it. They went to their Congress. It was well promoted. So they have enjoyed the award for 62 years before in 1962 when the spurious claim came about, and they've never been able to show any credible evidence to show that this award was invalid.
Why I play that is to show you. Guyana and all saying they committed to peace. This is a zone of peace. That's why they went across in St. Vincent with Dr. Keith Christopher Rollo and them other prime ministers. Venezuela was there too. That was, I think, was just last year, if I'm mistaken, because this is a zone of peace with a stalk out in Kamla Pasabis. That says the one who talking war. This is from Quieter Use, August the 24th, 2025. The recent statement issued by the government of Guyana on the supposed menace of transnational crime and narco-terrorism reads not like a declaration of sovereign intent, but like the anxious recitation of a provincial servant awaiting instruction from the imperial capital. Cloaked in a moral vocabulary of zone of peace and shared security, it is less a policy than an act of public obeisance on unconvincing bow to Washington's newest conjuring trick of draping its quarrel with Venezuela in the camouflage of a drug war. Guyana's misguided statement is not a product of inexperience, nor is it a case of the faltering first steps of a foreign ministry unsure of its footing. There are solid career diplomats in that ministry. It is rather a case of ineptitude, a surrender of judgment so thorough that it confuses the handcuffs of a handshake. For the government to mistake the dispatch of an American armada to the Caribbean as some sort of gallant crusade against narco trafficking is not only naive, it is willingly blind. Everyone outside of Georgetown can see the ships as staging grounds for regime change. The Americans have said as much by putting a bounty on Nicolas Maduro's head and branding him a narco trafficker, a move straight from the imperial playbook. That Guyana alone applauds this masquerade marks it not as brilliant, but as a servile. One might have thought that the memory of Forbes Burnham and Cheddy Jacob, two leaders united in their distaste for foreign intrusion, would have inoculated the country against such frowning. Burnham was no stranger to opportunism. Jagan was no saint of strategy, but both understood the danger of inviting imperial policemen to patrol the neighborhood. Both rejected the Monroe Doctrine as a relic of the 19th century, a doctrine that reduced the Caribbean to an American lake and Latin America to a plantation. Yet here we are, under a government that dresses up its subservience in the language of cooperation and integration, pretending that a naval blockade is the peacekeeping mission. The irony is almost too rich. Washington, which has never met a Latin American reformer, it did not wish to strangle, nor pretends to safeguard democracy in the hemisphere by threatening to topple a government. And Guyana, once a voice against foreign adventurism, now lends itself as the local herald of this charade. To speak of zones of peace while applauding the buildup of warships is not diplomacy, it is self-indictment. The government might as well have written its statement on America's letterhead. The sycophancy is not without calculation. Having already conceded a bulk of its oil wealth to ExxonMobil on contracts that read like ransom notes, Guyana now discovers that what fealty of the United States is a sort of tax levy on the newly oil rich. The Americans took our oil and now they want Venezuela. The PPPC government, apparently untroubled by this arithmetic of plunder, contents itself with a role of chorus repeating the imperial slogans in the hope of securing favor. It is a strategy of bootlicking dressed as statesmanship. By embracing Washington's narrative, Guyana risks isolating itself from the rest of South America, a continent long committed to anti-imperialism and allergic to intervention. Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, whatever their differences, understand a sovereignty that is not a trinket to be battered for patronage. If the Americans wish to resurrect the Monroe Doctrine, let them do so alone. It should not be Guyana's task to provide a local accent for the ventriloquism. Even if one were to set aside the moral question, the strategic folly is staggering. What benefit accrues to Guyana from aligning itself with a policy that the rest of the region will denounce? What protection does it secure by fastening itself to a campaign that promises only instability on the western border? The government may believe that loyalty will purchase security, but in imperial politics, the client state is always expendable. Today it is Venezuela, tomorrow it may be Guyana, chastened for failing to bow deeply enough. The statement pieties about transnational organized crime and narco-terrorism deserves little comment, save to note their emptiness. Criminal networks may very well threaten democracy and human dignity, but they are not confronted by aircraft carriers. They are confronted by functioning institutions, honest courts, and governments with spines. To pretend that the solution lies in the arrival of an American fleet to play the fool in a pageant stage for someone else's applause. What we are left with then is a document that proclaims concern for peace while courting war. It invokes the dignity of the hemisphere while selling out its independence. It is a press release written in the language of its sovereignty, but intends for the heirs of the master. And it is precisely that incoherence, the eagerness to flatter the incapacity to think, that stands as Guyana's indictment. Foreign policy, like dignity, is not a gift bestowed by others. It is a habit cultivated by self-respect. The government statement reveals neither habit nor respect. It reveals instead a bootlicking opportunism and mistakes compliance for wisdom, sycophancy for diplomacy. In aligning itself with Washington aggression, Guyana has not safeguarded its security, it has mortgaged its sovereignty. And so this record will show when the empire came calling, the government of Guyana answered not with caution, not with principle, but with applause. History less forgiving than Washington will remember it as the hour when Guyana mistook servitude for strategy and aptitude for statecraft. So the man who was talking just now seemed to be some foreign policy man in Ghana. He talking about space of peace. But apparently, just like how the UNC government has done, the government of Guyana also has done. So you see where the link is? And again, I have to go back to history and ask. Is it this whole idea of a Guyana, Trinidad, and a Suriname making some Indian homeland here and joining together? So they never considered itself part of CARICOM or part of anything, but linking itself to India. Is it that? Because just recently, the Indian Prime Minister came to Trinidad, and instead of making it a national event, as is usually done, because when Indira Gandhi, former Prime Minister of India, came to Trinidad in the days of Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, it was a national event where school children from all schools, everybody from all walks of life came out to be a part of that ceremony. But in this one, it was a Hindu event. It was held for Hindu people. And just like the prayer, a national day of prayer that they replaced the Independence Day for to sit to pray. Why not have it in Napa? Why not have it in the savannah? Why not have it in outer space where everybody could be? Why have it in the Wadi Negar? Because once you do that, you make it again, just like the Prime Minister India's visit, you make it an Indian thing, a Hindu thing. That is not a day of national prayers. That is a day of national Hindu unity. Because you can't have a day of national prayers when this whole country is so diverse, multi-religious, multicultural, all that, and have it in a place that a place that is known for activity of the Hindu community, then that is not national. If you want everybody to be there a national look, then carry it somewhere that is a space that everybody could be. The NACA, which is National Academy for this Performing Arts, SAPA, Academy, National Academy for Performing Arts and Song, or the Queen's Park Savannah, that is national because anybody could go in those places. So again, to me, this is my opinion. You're seeing the thing of history like it want to come together here now. This whole yearning for this Indian homeland, joining with Guyana and Suriname, because apparently now Guyana speaking the same talk we cannot be speaking. And they are being called out. Because the owner quieter uses a lot of African descent, he's an Indian, Mr. Glenlal, and he always continued to cry out against the inequality and what is happening in Guyana. So again, it's not all Indian people. I will never say all Indian people. But look what the players now. Look at the behavior now. And I'm asking all again, that is all I want for this country. Listen to this professor.
In Jamaica, UWI Professor Christopher Charles is warning Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Wisesa against isolating TNT from its Caribbean neighbors. This follows his support for U.S. military assets in the region and a statement that she would welcome U.S. forces into TNT if Venezuela attacks Guyana without consulting CARICOM.
I think the Trinidadian Prime Minister and the government in general is really playing up to Trump to ensure that whatever he does, Trinidad and Tobago comes out on the side that is much better than others.
Professor Charles suggests this may be part of a bigger picture, one that could pave the way for U.S. intervention in Venezuela.
There are gangs in all Caribbean territories, and they have transnational linkages with cartels in Mexico and Colombia and all over the place. So why the Venezuelans? cartels.
He also says the region should be concerned by Prasad Bisesa's statement.
We are opening up ourselves to further aggression.
At home, international relations expert Dr. Anthony Gonzalez says hosting American forces could put Trinidad and Tobago directly in harm's way.
We have struggled here to get the Americans out of this country here. We fought in the 60s to get rid of the American base here. Why are you inviting the Americans here?
Independencia nada. Leales siempre!
He also warns against antagonizing the Venezuelans. Meanwhile, St. Vincent Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves tells CNC3 News security decisions of this scale must be debated within CARICOM, not dictated unilaterally. As for the movement for social justice, the Prime Minister's remarks mark a, quote, day of shame and sadness for TNT. Political leader David Abdullah accused her of echoing a false U.S. narrative about terrorist drug cartels, a cover, he says, for military aggression. The PNM, so far silent, plans to hold a media conference at 1 p.m. on Monday where they will respond.
Well, the PNM did hold their press conference on Monday. And my member of Parliament Portiston North Sentence West would have presented. He would have spoken about the Peter wastewater project and whether or not NGC would have won the case against, yes, I think it's NGC, that the matter where this contractor, whatever, was paid all this money, never finished the work, and we would have gotten back or recover that money, or is to recover that money. He was asking again for the UNC to talk about it, come out, let the citizens know, and also about NGC declaring this profit that the board chairman, what's his name, Joel Ramdeen, new board chairman, they gloating about, and he was saying that we all know too that profit is up to December 2024. The UNC was not in office in 2024. So to gloat about it and not boast about, NGC making all that money, it has nothing to do with the UNC. Again, all the work and the developments that you're seeing coming out of the energy sector has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the UNC government, has nothing to do with the minister, the present minister of energy, Dr. Munila, nothing, absolutely nothing. I think he got the easiest work in the world. We just going around smiling and just reaping the benefits of nothing he had done. That is all for the hard work of Stuart Richard Young, SC, and Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley under People's National Government that served Trinidad and Tobago, and all they seen it now. The work that they were putting in while all they was balling out there, oh, the people suffering and they're suffering, and all like, you see what they're putting things in place that we could be benefiting from now. But all they in steady course, all they wanting quick and easy. And today we sitting down here praying to God. All they better pray hard and truth that no shit and jump off in the seas out there. We come up with Bisesa. Put we in harm's way. That's what she did. Put yourself and your family and put your cabinet. All you go inside and leave we alone. No, let's sign up all the way for the store. Even your blasters, stupid sycophant supporters, if they don't understand, let them go and read a book, watch TV, ask a question, and see they should be glorifying you for that stupidness you go on and do there. Like nothing to be proud of you about. The little busted talk and we internal think that's something different. That's something different. This is international thing. Look at the Minister of Foreign Affairs again. Watch. He come and say they're staying out tight. And bam, she come and say, we in it. The CARICOM man, Raj come and ball, regime change, my thing in Venezuela and all that. All them talking as one set of choppiness and he's in Foreign Affairs. Minister. No, we could say a lot of things about Amy Brown and Ting, but let me be real, right? Get Jackie jacket. When the man was holding down as Foreign Affairs Minister, he was handling scenes a right way. He come out and talk, you could understand diplomacy thing that kind of way. But this one here, Like it's a dance by. People must be all over the world must be laughing at me by. I make a comment and I say this and that. I say he's singing dance just like how he does look. I say so. Because you can't be talking. You ever hear when the PM was in office that when the Prime Minister speak and when the foreign thing can come ever that Amy Brown saying something different? Or CARICOM ambassador, this one saying something different. They spoke with a collective voice. When Dr. Ali put Amy Brown had to talk, Amy Brown talking one voice, he put this one talk. Let me tell you something here. I'm going to end because all the feelings is a joke here. Some all there. The effects of war. The effects of war are devastating and widespread, causing immense loss of life, physical injuries, and severe psychological trauma like PTSD and depression for both combatants and civilians. War destroys homes, infrastructure, and economies, leading to displacement and large-scale humanitarian crises, including food and water shortages, and breakdown of healthcare and educational systems. These impacts create long-lasting developmental issues, particularly for children, which can lead to political instability, societal fragmentation, and increased militarization. Humanitarian and health impacts, loss of life and injury. War results in widespread death, both directly from violence and indirectly through lack of access to care. Psychological trauma. Exposure to violence can lead to conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, anxiety and depression affecting millions globally. Displacement. Millions are forced to flee their homes, become refugees, or internally displaced persons facing chronic hardship and lack of safe harbor. Health crises. War can cause severe sabotage. War can cause severe shortages of food, water, and medicine, and can destroy healthcare system, leading to a broader global health crisis. Societal and developmental impact. Destruction of infrastructure. Critical infrastructure, including homes, transportation, schools, and hospitals, is often destroyed, hindering recovery and long-term development. Economic disruption. Economies are severely damaged by destruction, loss of resources, and disruption to markets and essential services, leading to poverty and unemployment. Impact on children. Children in conflict zones suffer long-term developmental issues due to toxic stress, lack of care, and displacement, making them particularly vulnerable. Social fabric. Communities and families are broken, and social and economic structures are disrupted, sometimes permanently. Political and long-term impacts. Political instability. War can weaken existing nations or lead to the creation of new ones, sometimes fostering the rise of authoritarian regimes. Increased militarization. Fear of future. Conflict can lead to increased military spending and a more militarized global landscape. Proactive crises. The effect of wars are not always immediate. They can be structural, enduring, and extend far beyond the end of active combat operations. I want to ask all again in Trinidad and Tobago. Are they ready to see all the young boys and girls, all the children, your nieces, your nephews, your children, had to go and sign up to be a part of the military, to be a part of civilian military? Are they ready for the shortages of food and water and healthcare? Are they ready to see all the house blow up? Are they ready to see an influx of immigrants? Or they think it was bad? At least when it happened under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, it was done in a humane way, and it was people who were seeking to come to work and that kind of thing. You think when them shit happen, they coming to work and you think they're just coming for space to live. When your house bomb up, you have no roof, you have nothing, you have to sleep in the ruins. When you let a child bawling because something think the eye they get blind, because the limb thing off, your father limb fly off, this one limb fly off, dead body all over the place. We had a in 1990 and we almost didn't recover. Let the people who went out in Syria that to fight, they're fighting against, they want to come back home, and we concerned because we don't know where they stay out there to come back inside here. Or they're contented with that talk, what the Prime Minister talk there, boy. All they know it is, here's some of the consequences of all these things. Lost our jobs because of the possible reduction in the markets, higher food prices, reduction in the standard of living, reduction in foreign exchange revenue. Could we stand that economically by ourselves? When we separate ourselves from CARICOM, anything happen, we own, you think they go help we? Just how Jamaica pull off all we goods. Imagine simply saying that Trinidad is not an ATM machine. Jamaica gets so offended by that comment, they pull off all we goods off the shelf. We local manufacturers sell about 80% of we goods in Jamaica and all over the other Caribbean. They was pulling it off the shelf. You know that would have meant in Trinidad and Tobago had that happened and had it really gone through, lost a job, business would have closed down, foreign exchange, more shortage. It's diplomacy. So when you put apart from CARICOM, like if CARICOM is something, or if people know, plenty of we goods manufactured are selling in the Caribbean, plenty of we goods selling in the Caribbean due to the CSME and CARICOM, if all of them know, if all of feel all we goods go in America market. You remember at the time, it's at the bacchanal the banana, we used to get, in the Caribbean, used to have preferential markets to sell the banana out in foreign outing. And I think some countries started to complain because they had to, the goods had to sell just so. And a whole bacchanal breakout. Yes, if my memory serves me right. And that ended up in losses in countries in the Caribbean that was sending the bananas up to the States. Sometimes because they had to bounce up with other bananas and things out there from different other exporters, whatever, and they didn't have no preferential market and treatment for them. It's not how it sell itself. These things is real thing. CARICOM does that starting. If it's something I did when I was at Cipriani. So I think I had to look it over proper. So if I say something here that may not be totally correct, I have to go and look it over properly. But I think what had happened, I think CARICOM may have something had happened in Caribbean. I don't know if they started to sell the bananas more in the Caribbean. Something on the effect. I have to look at it proper. It had a big bacchanal with that, and CARICOM had a part to play in treating with that matter. So I'm saying all this to say, all they didn't want this man. All they say is a dictator. He's a this. He's a tyrant. He don't like nobody. He don't like African people. And this, and yeah, we suffering, and we wicked, and all kind of things. All they say about the man. Yeah? But everything would have been done under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, that today you have the UNC benefiting from it. All they didn't want this man that Franklin Can was speaking about. All they didn't want this man neither. Listen.
And I want to share one further point here with the nation. When the Prime Minister met with the leaders of the energy sector, it was decided to establish what we call an empowered negotiating team of technocrats and led by two ministers. Myself, as Minister of Energy, and the Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, the Honorable Stuart Young. And today, I want this nation to know that we owe a debt of gratitude to the Honorable Stuart Young for his contribution in this whole exercise. He has been very, very instrumental in these negotiations because as a litigation lawyer, he knew what to say, what not to say. I was there at his side. I've been an expert in the field of energy, but he was the expert negotiator. And both of us worked diligently together as a team to deliver these results for Trinidad and Tobago. That gentleman is young, he is bright, he is productive, he's an extremely hard worker.
Yeah, well, they want that. Wait till they all the work that Stuart Young was doing. It coming to fruition now, and they was telling all the doctor, they're saying tightening belt just a little wait. 2026, 27 thing. No, they don't want that. Or let's say Dr. Rowley too black and ugly to be Prime Minister. Or let's say Stuart Young at 1% and no Chinese. could run the PNM and only take chain up talk from even people in the PNM to talk about Black Party may ask, and Black Party. I only take chain up. But don't vote for PNM. Even if the lose election, we go rebuild. Or let's take that chain up and PNM people, some only go and vote. Or let's take the chain up with a code is yellow. And when UNC win, everybody win. Or let's see what happens. Take chain up again this time. But Nako this and Ting and anything that come Guyana and America could come and we learn and think them and all the things them kind of chain up talk and those say with a zone of peace and all the treat it all the matter, we ain't taking no side. Treat it all the matter, we ain't taking no side. And we are part of CARICOM, zone of peace. And let Kamala Persad destroy Trinidad and Tobago for their own personal well. Let me tell you something, it have gone. It will never happen. The way I'm planning thing, it ain't gonna go so. But some only got to feel it because of the fact that only too ungrateful and only just take chain of talk from people. When only have a burden, only hand only what two. And when they let go the one, the next one does go on too. And look what we did yesterday. And as for the People's National Movement, while they might have some talent that will shine through, do operate as a team, political leader. You want, they come for the job, you get the job. Do operate as a team, do operate as a leader, because you don't have me, in my opinion, I keep saying it, I don't care who go and cuss. Because I'm not paying no donkey no mind to make them feel there's no lion, so they could go and cuss. I'm saying it again. If they didn't hear the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, ninth, I'm saying it next time again. I don't believe the political leader, the People's National Movement, have what it takes to take the PNM into victory. I saying so. And they could coach, they could make over, all kind of things. If it is not your nature, it's just like the snake, you know. You could feed the snake, you could pat the snake, all kind of thing, whatever it is. The snake will still turn on and bite it because that's the nature of the snake. You could take a pig from out the pigsty and put it in a palace, dress it up in pink thing, paint the nails, whatever. Soon they go make the palace a pigsty because it's the nature. And if your nature is not one where you could communicate proper, you could talk proper, you have that presence, you have that clear thought, critical thing. If it's not you, they could dress you over, make you over, whatever, it will happen. So let us sit down and take the hard decision and talk about Black Party, and she's a woman, and she did a long time. Is she time now? Or let us sit down and take a conscious decision to do what is right. Because only see where this country heading if only continue so. How come you come and ask you on the press conference today? Water more than flour? Water more than flour? How come? How come you have press conference today? The PNM always know on the back foot and I'm saying anything. You hear the things say up to the PNM silent, but they're having something on. When you don't talk, come out and talk, it's because the talk don't go on tongue, country, and planning. I don't know who is a strategist, political leader, but your strategists say good. They ain't ready. They're not ready. And let's see what happens in this country. Only have to be ready. Only better get it together somehow and get ready. But I know you ain't have it in you. That's me saying so. That's my personal opinion. My personal opinion, which I'm entitled to. People, it's late. I want to thank everybody who's on the live. I can't look at the names on this thing on me. Especially when I was reading that thing that the person that generated through AI, if all these Caribbean thinkers were at a round table, what they think they might have said. I felt it. I really felt it, and I felt so sad that those fighters for our independence, our freedom, our rights that we have, that today one prime minister could mash up that whole thing by her careless, reckless, spiteful, evil, and wicked comments, willing to sell we as if they will be treated more favorable than we. willing to sell we and sell Trinidad and Tobago to carry back that time where all them leaders and them had fought in the Caribbean to make the Caribbean a place of peace and a place where we get our independence. So it touched me. So I want to tell you all thanks for staying locked on and tuning on, all those who are tuning in, all those on Facebook, all those on Facebook and WhatsApp. Not WhatsApp, not Bounce Up. I'm sorry, I'm not calling you out today. I need to just go and just watch some TV or something. I really need to. This is a serious thing, and some people feel this is a joke. Love you all. Thank you all always for the support. See you all on Wednesday when I come with something fresh, something new. This legal Jen, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. If you want to get formal as Miss Jennifer Frederick, another edition of Let Me Talk the Thing. Director, play the tune there. Take me out with this. Not literally, musically.
Try with a federation, the whole thing end in confusion. CARICOM and then CARIFTA, but somehow a spelling disaster. Mr. West Indian politician, I mean you went to a big institution, and how come you can't unite 7 million? When a West Indian unity, I know it's very easy. If you only rap to your people and tell them like me, them is one race, the Caribbean man, from the same place, the Caribbean man, that make the same trip, the Caribbean man, on the same ship, the Caribbean man. So we must push one common intention, is for a better life in the region, for we woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. You say that the Federation was imported quite from England, and you're going on for a CARIFTA with a true West Indian flavor. But since CARIFTA started running, morning, noon and night all are hearing, it's just money speech them Prime Minister giving. But I say no set of money could form a unity. Talk of all your people need their identity like one race, from the same place, that make the same trip, on the same ship. So we must push one common intention, is for a better life in the region, for we woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. CARICOM is wasting time, the whole Caribbean gone blind. If we don't know from where we come in, then we can't plan where we go in. That's why some want to be communist, brother, some want to be socialist, and one set a religion to add to the foolishness. Look, a man who don't know his history can't form no unity. How could a man who don't know his roots form his own ideology like one race, from the same place, that make the same trip, on the same ship? So we must push one common intention, is for a better life in the region, for we woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. Federation done dead, and Carifta going to bed. But the cult of the Rastafarian spreading through the Caribbean. It have Rastas now in Grenada, it have Rastas now in St. Lucia. But to run Carifta, yes, you getting pressure. If the Rastafari movement spreading and Carifta dying slow, then it's something them Rastas on that them politicians don't know, that there's one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So they pushing one common intention, it's for a better life in the region, for the woman and their children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.